Whenever you start to compare yourself, it is a form of resisting your own genius. It's not because you're not good enough. It's not because your idea isn't ripe. It's not because you need to make sure the strategy will work. It's because you are resisting your own greatness. It tries to protect you. It tries to get you back into your box, into the streamlined life that we are all meant to live, in quotation marks, and you are suppressing your own genius. Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to Rooted in the Cosmos, your podcast for all things spiritual leadership, higher consciousness, and New Earth vision. My name is Isabelle Gloria, I'm your host, and I'm welcoming you to this brand new episode on this beautiful Sunday. If you're currently watching on YouTube, you can see this podcast episode as a video, and if you're listening to this podcast on any other podcast platform and you prefer to watch a video, you can do that on YouTube. I have this podcast as a video now too, so make sure to check that out if you like to watch along. What I want to talk about today on this episode is something that many of us feel so deeply, and that is taking part in a shift that is happening on Earth and stepping into a calling that we cannot really describe, that is just like an intuitive pull to do something great, to do something that has meaning. And working with my clients over the years, I've noticed that every single one of them has this desire. We all share almost like an inner knowing that there is something to do, that there is some mission and some purpose to fulfill. But it's pretty hard to find out what that really means because we are so conditioned and so trained to go the normal way, to go about life in a way that is pre-planned for us. We go from school into university or we start working, and there is not much time to really take a step back and feel into ourselves and ask ourselves, what do I actually feel called to do? I recently had this very eye-opening experience where I was on a bus, and it was around the time when school was over for the students. So they went home after school and all that. And I heard them talk about nothing but schoolwork. They prepared for tests, they learned in the bus home, they were talking about what's coming next week, about the test that is upcoming. And I really had this download and this intuitive information coming to me of, oh my God, they are so occupied with things that actually don't really matter from a soul's perspective, so that they can never truly get to know themselves. And I think that is sadly how a lot of people live their lives. They have all this potential. They may have a huge potential. They may even have a mission to fulfill on a soul level. They came to Earth with all these plans and all these amazing things they wanted to experience and to shift and to contribute to on a soul level. But then they come here, they are so sucked into the system and into how things should work from a human perspective that they never get the chance to uncover anything about themselves. And that sounds drastic, but if you think of it, how many people do you know who actually live a happy, fulfilled life in terms of expressing themselves, doing a job that they truly love, having a day filled with things, or at least have a couple of things that they actually want to do, that they feel like is contributing not only to other people's lives, but also to their own life? Like, how many people do you know that actually feel content and that feel purpose driven? There's not many out there, and the majority of us are just working our asses off without any perceived purpose in that. So we're basically stuck in survival mode and stuck in like this daydream of who we are, rather than really exploring ourselves and getting to know ourselves on a soul level. So maybe you have been on a journey of awakening from all that, awakening from this deep sleep that the majority of people are in, and you've been on a journey of spiritual growth and healing. And for some time now, this desire arises in you that you want to lead a life that is purpose driven, that you want to help other people, that you want to maybe become a coach or a teacher in some way, or a healer or a guide, so that you can make your passions into your lifestyle, into your business. The question you may have at the very beginning is, how do I even navigate this? How do I start? How do I go a path that is so differently from what I've known to be true or what I've known to be right? And where do I even begin? What is the first step, and how can you start creating impact from where you are with what you have? Today's episode is meant to be dedicated to that process, also internally, that we are going through when we are faced with these desires, and when it almost feels like you have no other chance than to follow that inner guidance, that pull, or to live an unhappy life that is not truly in alignment with who you are. So you can either choose to empower yourself and take on the challenges and find out what it means to go that path and where to start and what it all entails, or you can decide to not empower yourself and just stay in the box, not stepping into your full potential, not fulfilling your desires and your mission on a soul level, and just staying in your comfort zone and stay where you are right now. But if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, I don't think you belong to the group of people who just stay in their comfort zone and who are afraid of stepping up. I feel like you really want to step up. You want to live a purpose driven life, but you may not be sure where to start, where to begin, what the processes are. Starting a spiritual business is most likely a little bit different than starting any other business. It's not just any product or a random service that you offer. It has so much to do with your own path, with your own evolution, and with your alignment. There are businesses out there who sell products that are really aligned with what they're meant to do. I'm not saying that a spiritual business is the only type of business that can be aligned, but what I'm trying to say is that when you have a product or a certain service that is not connected to you directly as a person, as a soul, you have an easier time promoting that and making that available for people. Many people feel that they need to have it all figured out when they start their business and when they launch for the first time. But when it comes to a purpose driven business, you cannot really start after you have figured out what exactly you're meant to do, because that's exactly what you learn on the path of just doing it. And that is the first trap that a lot of light workers fall into. They feel like they don't really know what their purpose is, what their mission is, what exactly they want to do, and what they tangibly can do to help and support other people and to lead that spiritual business. So they don't even start. They feel like, I don't even know what I'm doing, so I should not start a business and take money from my clients. I should not put myself in the position of a leader when I myself don't even know what I'm doing. And while there is some truth in that, you should always have integrity and not just scam people without really believing in your path. There is also the danger of the light workers not empowering themselves because they are so humble and they feel like they cannot show up powerfully before they have it all figured out. The tragic thing about this is that the most ego driven, narcissistic people use that as their advantage, and they actually scam people. They actually go into the positions that true light workers with pure intentions should be in, because they don't have these doubts about themselves. They don't care if they are acting from their full integrity. They don't care if they've embodied what they teach before they lead other people. They don't care. So the spiritual spaces are actually filled with people in positions of leadership who should not be there. Having a spiritual business and starting a spiritual business is not so much about having the perfect business plan beforehand. It's more about trusting your calling and following that inner guidance that is there in this moment and figuring it out as you go that path. If you feel like you have to figure it all out before you start, that is not an approach that works for a spiritual business that is so connected with your soul mission and with the reason why you have this desire in the first place. As a light worker, you don't have this desire randomly. That is something awakening within you that is meant to guide you towards the path you're meant to be on, to help others, to create the life you need to have to be able to do this work. It's all connected. So having a business plan doesn't work for a spiritual business. You cannot calculate it. You cannot plan it beforehand. You just have to empower yourself enough to trust your calling and to trust that you will be guided exactly where you need to be, and that the story is writing itself as you move along with it. What comes with this trust in your calling is to also take messy action. Messy action means that you give yourself permission to try out things, to figure out what feels right, what feels wrong, what feels aligned for you, what makes you uncomfortable, what makes you feel comfortable. All these things that are way out of your comfort zone, you need to explore them to really find out what your way of leading your business is and what your topics are, what your message is, what your main purpose in this business is. Like I said, there is no business plan that you can create beforehand. There are certain things that you can structure and learn and create the foundation for, but figuring out what your purpose is and how you can express that in your business is a process. It's all a learning experience, and a massive part of that is embracing uncertainty. Not many things will be certain for you in the beginning. Not many things will be clear for you in the beginning. You may not know every detail about your business. You may not know what path you're gonna land on. But what you do know is that you allow yourself to be guided in the process and that the clarity will come through that process. When I had my first ever coaching client, when I had my first mentoring session with a client, I felt like a complete fraud, to be honest. I was not sure what I was doing. I was doing this for the first time. I was guided by my intuition. I was guided by just my inner guidance system. I didn't have any strategies in place. I didn't have any things structured out for the session or anything like that. I just trusted my intuition. And that first coaching session I ever led was so powerful, and my client gained so much, and all that just because I allowed myself to be outside of my comfort zone and to be guided by my intuition. And that is how you learn. You also will figure out what may not resonate as much or what may not feel as aligned for you. When I started working as a spiritual mentor a couple of years ago, I was on a path of helping people awaken to the cosmic truths and help them on their awakening journey. And I was so dedicated and so convinced that I could help them awaken and help them realize what I've realized over the years in my own journey. And I created a whole program around this, a whole program around spiritual awakening and putting in all the wisdom that I had at that time and teaching them this wisdom. And what I slowly realized is that a level of frustration arose within me because I felt like I was not helping them to my full capacity. I could not bring across the same knowledge and the same aha moments that I had when I learned about these cosmic concepts and stuff like that. So I was like, why is it not working? Why does it not click in a way like it did for me, for my clients? And after a while, I realized this is not the right way to do it. This is not the right way to teach other people and to empower themselves. I cannot teach you about a spiritual concept and accept you to have the same type of awakening and the same mind-blowing effect that I had when I learned about this, because everyone's journey is so unique. So through that process of setting up this whole program and guiding people through that entire process and feeling like I could not bring across what I wanted to bring across, I realized that every single client picked and learned what they were meant to learn at this time in their journey. They were not missing out. It was a journey of me accepting that everyone is different and everyone will have different things that resonate with them at a certain time in their spiritual journey. My conclusion was that I needed to shift my path a little bit. And I stepped into this path of working with other leaders or women who identify as light workers and they know they have a higher calling and they want to find out what that higher calling is, what they are meant to do, how they should tangibly build their business. So I shifted from trying to teach others what I know to helping them find their own magic, helping them find their own leadership and their own way of contributing to the world while they are on their own awakening journey. And that is a great example for how things can turn out. You can put energy into something that you think is the right thing, and then it doesn't feel 100% aligned, but all of that was not for nothing. It was to get you on the path that you are truly meant to be on. So everything you do, all the messy action that you take, all the offers that may not feel 100% in resonance with you right now, these are all the things that will get you closer to your highest path and to what you truly are meant to do. It is really easy to fall into the trap of comparing yourself to others and to other coaches, other mentors, other guides in the spiritual community, and feeling like you have to do what they are doing. Or if something is successful for them, it has to be successful for you. And that is just not the case. Not every single person can create the same success with the same things, with the same approach. It's a very unique journey that you are on. So comparing yourself will most likely just kill your authentic energy. It will kill the inner guidance system that you have, that you just need to listen to, that tells you exactly how you are meant to do things. What I see a lot in my clients is that when they start a journey with me and they start working on their businesses, they start figuring out what their purpose is, what they are meant to do, and they feel really empowered and really amazing about this, there comes this moment and this dip in their energy where they start comparing themselves to other people and they become unsure and doubtful about the work that they've already done or about the things that they've worked on so far, and they question everything. What you need to know is that comparison is a form of resistance, and it often shows up when you are about to level up. So, when you are about to create something that is uniquely yours, when you are about to have your $1 million idea and stepping into that power feels scary, and you start comparing yourself, you start to consider, is that even worth it? Is it worth launching? Will it be successful? Is that already working for others? That is your own mind, your own limiting beliefs, self-sabotaging yourself. That is a form of resistance. You are resisting the change that you're about to experience. You are resisting the level up in your personality, in your life, in your leadership, in your self-confidence. All that is a sign that you are about to level up. When you feel like you need to compare yourself, you doubt yourself, you want to check first if it works for others, or you want to change your website a little bit because you've been inspired by someone else who had a beautiful website. You want to create a certain reel because you saw it perform well for others. Random stuff like that. All of that is a form of resistance to your own genius. And that is something you deeply have to realize. Whenever you start to compare yourself, ask yourself, what genius idea am I suppressing right now because I'm so used to go with the stream instead of against the stream? Take notes here. Whenever you start to compare yourself, it is a form of resisting your own genius. It's not because you're not good enough. It's not because your idea isn't ripe. It's not because you need to make sure the strategy will work. It's because you are resisting your own greatness. You are resisting doing things in a unique way because that will bring you success over time, that will make you stand out, and that feels unnatural to your nervous system and to your mind. So, what does it do? It tries to protect you, it tries to get you back into your box, into the streamlined life that we are all meant to live, in quotation marks. and you are suppressing your own genius. So don't compare yourself. You can get inspired, you can love other people's work, but you can appreciate it and still love your own. It's just like beauty. You can look at someone's beauty and admire them and see how aesthetically pleasing they look, how beautiful they are. But at the same time, you can still recognize your own beauty. You can still express yourself in a completely different way of beauty. They can coexist, and they are even blooming more beautifully when they're both in existence. Imagine a beautiful woman who has a certain type of beauty admiring another beautiful woman who has a completely different type, and then trying to be like her, trying to adapt to her beauty or live up to her beauty. She will make herself less beautiful because she is not expressing herself in her own natural beauty. So all comparison ever does is to dim your own light. This example was about beauty, but it's the same for business, for self-expression, for doing things the way you want to do it. As soon as you start to adapt your way of doing to other people's ways, you are taking away from the unique approach that you are meant to have, that only you can deliver in the way that you are meant to. As we come to the end of this episode, I want to give you a final message. Give yourself permission to figure out the foundational steps that you need to take to move forward. Take messy action. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have a business plan. Just start and take action steps toward your goal. Starting a spiritual business and stepping into your own leadership is an incredible journey that transforms us so much. I see it every day in my clients. If you are going that path of empowering yourself, I'm really proud of you. It's a very brave thing to do in a society that thrives on putting people in a box and on making them all the same. So you are very brave if you are expressing yourself in that way, and I'm really proud of you. If I were your mentor and I could give you one piece of advice, it would be to figure out what your main message is, to figure out what your spiritual niche is. A spiritual niche is nothing you pick from a list that already exists. It's something that you figure out about yourself and create yourself. If you are a little lost on what that means and how to do that, I created a free spiritual creator guide for this purpose, for you to find out what your spiritual niche is, what your main topics are, who you want to serve, and how you can finally start stepping into your power. This guide is full of insights and guidance and practices that really help you figure out in a very tangible way what you are meant to do, what your path is, and where you can start. So grab it for free. You can download it for free. All you have to do is to sign up with your email. I will link it in the information box and in the show notes for you to download, and I would love to know what you gain from it. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. It's at Isabelle Gloria, or send me an email to podcast@isabellegloria.com. I'm really, really happy that you listened to this entire podcast episode, or you were watching. For those of you who are not watching the video right now, my little dog just joined me and he's sitting on my lap. So if you hear any like weird doggy noises, that is why he's basically snoring into my microphone. But he looks so cute. And my best friend yesterday told me that I should include him more into my work and into my content because she loves seeing that with other creators. And I was like, yeah, why not? As always, I hope you gained something from today's episode and you learned something new. You discovered something about yourself. Make sure to download the free Spiritual Creator Guide. It's a really helpful tool, and let me know what you gain. That being said, have a beautiful, beautiful week. I will talk to you next Sunday for a brand new episode. Bye bye.